Hello, folks, ladies and gents. How you doing today? Sorry, I lost track of time. I was actually in the stream chat chatting it up with regulars about certain different things going on, and then I was like, whoa, I actually have to start pre-stream, don't I? How's everyone doing today? The final day of July. It is Sunday, July 31st, 2016. I am Darkside Phil, and I would like to say thank you, everyone, for a fun month, even though it was a slow month, and undoubtedly, there's nothing you could do when there's no game releases of anything really to mention, right? I pretty much covered whatever I could, but it was not exactly the most exciting gaming month ever. In fact, it was pretty much I'll be honest, a boring month. There wasn't a hell of a lot going on. The few things that I did get to cover that were new were pretty terrible. I would say the Call of Duty DLC this month was pretty good. And the Ghostbusters game was terrible, and everything else was pretty much me doing downtime stuff like Resident Evil 5 Remastered or Silent Hill Homecoming, which again were a mixed bag. Playing Resident Evil 5 for the second time, I realized it certainly wasn't as good as I remembered it being, because the game had progressed again in Resident Evil 6 and Revelations, and it had become, in my opinion, a better game in those iterations. So Resident Evil 5 didn't really hold up as well as I thought it would. And Silent Hill Homecoming, let's be honest here, was pretty disappointing. Really wasn't a very good game. So, it was a slow month. We got through it, though. This is it. After today, we start August. And August is going to start off with a bang with the new Batman Telltale game and my Sonic 2006 playthrough. We've got No Man's Sky. We've got the new Deus Ex, King of Fighters 12, Attack on Titan. Just to name a few things. There's probably going to be a lot more. Like, I expect a new Hitman episode and probably the final DLC character for Street Fighter V and a few other smaller scale titles, all in August. So I think that this August is going to be pretty exciting. But it is what it is. We got through July. And, FYI, I'm just going to throw this out here now. All right? It is less than 12 months remaining to pledge to my Patreon for July. And the bottom line is, unless a miracle happens, we're not going to hit the goal for July. All right? The funding goal for July was the same as it always has been. It's not like I upped it or anything. And unfortunately, because there was so little activity going on in July in regards to new games and stuff, I didn't get that influx of viewership that I usually get from new releases. So it's kind of hard when there's no new games and I'm not getting any new viewership attention or anything like that to get people to pledge. So I do want to say thank you to those of you who are ongoing pledgees of mine on Patreon. And it's certainly not your fault. I can't blame anyone. There's no specific factor or anything to blame, but it looks like we're not going to hit the funding goal for this month, and we're not going to get the special event. The special event, which would have been a Patron's Choice playthrough coming up in September. All right. It sucks. What can you do? Right? What can you do? Right now, the only way that we can hit the goal is if I get around $240 of new pledges within 11 and a half hours. Actually, I believe it's a little less than that now because I just had a pledge that was increased. So, thank you to the person who did that. I don't want to give a specific name shout out or anything, because then they probably get harassed or something. Knowing how shit works, oh my god, someone pledged to Phil's fucking Patreon, we gotta harass that person. Well, I'm not gonna put him out there, but yeah. So we're short by about 240 bucks. There's still a chance, though. Maybe a few people will say, oh, man, well, he didn't hit it. I'll pledge now, and I'd like to get that high goal level of the private Q&A video. I don't know, but right now, it's not looking too good. And I'm a realist, so I'm not going to sit here and harp on it. I'm not going to sit here and be angry or disappointed, because the bottom line is, the way that YouTube works is that there's ups and downs. You're going to have very busy months with a lot of stuff going on, and you're going to have months with nothing going on, and I know that. I know that the summer is traditionally my lowest time of the year for viewership, and it actually is the lowest time of the year for ad revenue, so it is the lowest time of the year for gaming activity in general. So, it is what it is. Now, a lot of people have been asking me, why does my Patreon page say it's at like 800 bucks? It's wrong. My Patreon page is based off of the fact that in previous months until this month, People were false pledging. People were constantly going in there and trolling and putting in hundreds, if not, at one point I had thousands of dollars of fake pledges on my Patreon, okay? And because of that, it would overinflate the total. So what Patreon did this year is they instituted a method by which if someone pledges and their pledge doesn't go through, Patreon will assume that that's a false pledge, and it will lower your pledge amount that it shows public facing to the people. So that's why it looks like, oh my god, Phil needs like $400 or $500 to hit the goal. No, it's not true at all. That's because it was assuming that there would be hundreds of dollars of false pledges. Now, early this month, I changed the way that my Patreon works to a you have to be charged when you pledge method. So what that did is effectively ended all trolling. No one can troll on my Patreon because if you do a false pledge, guess what? It requires you to put in your pledge information and it processes that pledge before it will show it. So, unless someone actually tries to troll and then accidentally charges a real credit card, they can't do false pledges anymore. But unfortunately, Patreon is still reflecting the false pledges. So that's the thing. Like, you're seeing $200 to $300 less public facing because of the false pledges in the past, but they don't really apply anymore. So anyway, it is what it is. I'm not really harping too much on it. If you would like to pledge, you have 11 and a half hours left to pledge to my Patreon at patreon.com/DarkSidePhil. And if you wanted to apply to July, you have to hurry up. Because sometimes this happens. People will pledge on the 1st of the next month, and then they don't understand why it didn't apply. That actually just happened this month. Someone had messaged me and said, Phil, I didn't get any contact info from you or anything about getting my perks. And I looked it up. I was like, dude, you pledged on the 1st, so that's going to apply to the next month. And he was like, oh, okay, my bad. So FYI, that's how it works. And maybe we'll have a miracle today. I'm certainly not that much of a crazy optimist, but I'm certainly okay with it because I know that we're going to have some crazy good months coming up, especially nearing the end of the year, some of these big releases coming out. I'm looking forward to them, and I hope that you're looking forward to sharing that experience with me. All right? All right, so today it's all about Overwatch. 3.5 more hours of Overwatch on stream. I'm going to be picking a variety of characters. All right? And I'm also going to be teaming up with people who've played with me before, who are here, and if they're online and available. So we'll see what happens. If they're available, awesome. If not, well, it is what it is, but I would like to maybe team up with someone so I could get that experience boost. It certainly helps, especially when you're trying to level up and unlock more stuff in the game, right? Outside of that, tonight I'll be working on the weekend preview, so you'll understand fully how this week's going to work. Plus, I'll be working on my final part of my top 10 worst things about modern gaming countdown for KO Gaming. That will not be releasing tonight. I just want to clarify. That will not be releasing tonight. Alright? It will be releasing tomorrow night. But I need to work on that tonight so that I can actually release it tomorrow night. So, that's the deal. And then tomorrow, it's going to be the end game of Persona 3 continuing. I've gotten to the end of that final dungeon, and I'm pretty much going through the final days of the game where I'll be doing the S-links and the story advancement. People are on the fence as to whether I'll beat it tomorrow or Wednesday. I say probably Wednesday because I'm not going to rush through it. I'm going to take my time with it. So, that should work out. Finally, the Persona 3 playthrough will end this week, right? And then, of course, this week we'll have the new Batman game, and this week we'll have my Sonic 06 Marathon. Later in the week, I'm probably going to try out the new multiplayer stuff in Doom. So there will be a lot of fun stuff coming up this week. That should be entertaining, and I hope that you will join me for it, alright? I'll talk more about that in the weekend preview tonight, so I'm not going to go into massive detail about it. Oh, yeah! It is also the final day to pledge to pledge. What am I talking about? It is the final day to take advantage of the sale at Leanna's business, The Black Current. She's doing a summer sale of 20% off any order of $10 or more. So far, a bunch of people actually have placed orders and taken advantage of it. So I do want to say thank you if you're one of the people in the past few days who placed an order. But there's only, again, 11 and a half hours left because she has this discount that's going on only till the end of July. So check it out. All right, that's etsy.com/shop/theblackcurrant. And, you know, handmade glycerin soaps, wax tart melts, lots of fun stuff. That is very popular. You know, people who bought it have become regulars. They rate it highly. If you don't believe me, check out the website yourself. She's got nothing but positive feedback. People really love the product. Now, the sale I mentioned is if you spend $10 or more, it's 20% off. The code you need to use is SummerSale20. SummerSale20. So if you've been thinking about maybe trying out something from the Blackcurrant, you hear me mention it all the time. You say, man, you know, eventually I'm going to try or buy as a gift or something. Now would be the time. Get 20% off now. She only does these sales every once in a while. So if you don't do it and take advantage of it now, you're going to have to wait, you know, if you want to save a little bit, probably another month or two. She only does them from time to time, so. Okay, so please check it out. The Blackcurrant. That's really all I have to say. I really don't have much else to talk about here on pre-stream today. Making it kind of short and sweet so I could jump back into Overwatch. And I'm looking forward to having fun. I know many of you want to play as well. Well, want to see me play as well. So, I think we should just get into it. And then get this next new month starting tomorrow, right? Alright, folks, that is it. Let's begin. Overwatch. Multiplayer. Lots of fun. And, oh, I know what I'll do. Here we go. Wait a minute. I forgot I had this thing. It was sitting over here on my desk. I was like, oh yeah, I have this. Alright, so Overwatch, without further ado, here we go. Alright, very nice.